Hey, it's Mo. I am very glad to have you here. My friend the turkey is joining us as we are very close to Thanksgiving. And I wanted to talk about a new palette from Charlotte Tilbury. This is only available online on her website, charlottetilbury.com. And I was very curious about it, and I thought perhaps you would be too. And as I've said before, those things that are only available online are the trickiest ones, right? Because you're guessing, and particularly when they're expensive, as Charlotte Tilbury's brand certainly is. So I don't know if this is a new series of palettes that she's going to be bringing out, but it is called the Easy Eye Palette. It says that here. Then it says for the Charlotte Darling look. So I'm curious if she's going to come out with more easy eye palettes for this look or that look. I have no idea if that's true. It's just something that kind of made me curious. For my purposes, I just call this the Charlotte Darling palette. And it is $57. As I said, it's only available at charlottetilbury.com. This is the outer packaging, which is very similar to her packaging for the majority of her line. And I don't believe this is holiday specific. I think it may be limited edition, but I don't believe it was released only for holiday. And as we've seen in the past with Charlotte Tilbury, sometimes things are limited edition, like Pillow Talk, and then they come back. So again, just keep that in mind. And the back of the packaging just has many words that you can read at some point if you want. And I will show you the palette itself. Out of the packaging, it looks like this. Can catch that there. Very, as I said, this is pretty much her standard type of packaging, kind of the deep Bordeaux shade with gold. It's an Art Deco vibe. I've mentioned before I really enjoy her packaging. And I want to do a size comparison because it's always hard for me to tell when I'm watching a review, like, well, how big is that palette? So I don't know if this is helpful. I think this might be helpful. So this is the Pillow Talk palette. This is the size of any of her regular palettes. This is the only one I own, by the way, of her regular palettes. So here's a comparison for size. So this is a pretty small palette. It's not teeny tiny. I've seen smaller, but just so you get an idea of the size. And then the colors are what you really want to see. And it's just a snap closure, by the way, which is typical for Charlotte Tilbury. And here are the shades. As usual with Charlotte Tilbury, none of the shades have names. She only denotes them by a number and then calls them Prime, Enhance, and Smoke. And in this case, we've got Prime, Enhance, Smoke. She calls this a daytime look. And Prime, Enhance, Smoke here, she calls that date time look. I don't pay any attention to those things. I just use the colors in any way I want to. I don't personally think there is a day look and an evening look in general for makeup, but you know, if that simplifies things for you and if you do feel that way, that's awesome. So this would be, these three are daytime, the other three are date time, as she says. What's interesting is that these actually come from palettes that have been released before. I was going to say existing palettes, but that's not really accurate. Really, this one, this lightest shade, is the only currently existing shade. This is from the Bella Sofia palette, which used to be called the Dolce Vita palette, but this shade is part of the permanent line in the Bella Sofia palette. That's the only place I know of that exists. The other shades are all from her Starry Eyes holiday palette from 2018. So last year she released a palette kind of all along this kind of color family, this terracotta, maybe leaning slightly taupe, warm, kind of full palette, and it sold out. It was a holiday limited edition, and these shades, so these 5 shades are all from that palette. So, as other people have certainly pointed out, if you have that palette from holiday 2018, you have virtually every single shade already that's in this palette, with the exception of this one. But you know, I don't know that this is a wildly unique shade. I would think that probably you may have something that's similar or would act in a similar way, like on the brow bone or inner corner highlight or middle of your lid, however you want to use it. So first, let's just go in knowing that information. For my purposes, I did not get the holiday palette in 2018, and I do not have the Bella Sofia palette or the Dolce Vita palette. So for me, these are all brand new colors to me. And when I saw it online, it looked very much like colors I think I would enjoy. The biggest challenge for me is always finding colors that aren't too warm, because I feel like even cool colors, cool leaning colors, can go warm on my skin tone. And I don't mind warm colors, but sometimes I'll see something like this online and the picture will appear cooler than it is, and then I see it in person and it's significantly warmer. I would say maybe I thought this was a little cooler, maybe a little more rose leaning than terracotta when I saw it online, but it's not, but it's pretty similar to what's pictured on her website. And as I said, I just bounce around in the palette. I don't follow any specific rules about prime, enhance, smoke, but I've used every color in the palette. I've used it several times, and this is not a first impression. This is a full review of this palette, so I thought we'd do that. We will absolutely do swatches. I'm going to put it on for you, and you can decide, is this something that you might get a lot of use out of and might be worth $57, or is that just outrageously overpriced and there's no way you would even consider it, you know? And that's why I'm here, is to do that stuff. So we'll start with swatches, because that's always, you know, I think the most fun part. So we'll start with we'll just go by her names: the prime, enhance, and smoke, from what she's calling the day look. There's prime, there's enhance, there's smoke. And I will say, as I said, this is not a first impression, that the quality of these is equal to any Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadows that I have used. Very, very nice formula. Very pretty, very soft to the touch, very blendable, which is one of my favorite things about her formula. I feel like they're very easy to blend. And then we'll do the date look. They feel so nice to the touch. I do like that about her shadows. But you do pay for it. It's not cheap stuff. So again, we're prime, enhance, and smoke. This smoke shade, and I was pleased to see this does have just a touch of a cool mauve in it. It's still warmer leaning, but it does have a little bit of that cool mauve to balance out like this, you know, this very warm looking, I'm going to say terracotta shade. So there are the shades. And probably the most similar to in the palette are this and this. But when you look at them, you can see this has maybe just the teeniest bit leaning more toward rose, and this certainly leans more toward brown. So this is a touch cooler, and the shimmers are not, you know, they're definitely different. So I'm going to call that 6 unique shades within the palette. It's not like it's like, well, that shade looks just like that shade on my eye, because they don't. I've used them. So there you have the swatches. And I wanted to do something before I try this on. I wanted to do some comparisons. And I'm going to tell you why. First of all, if you have any of the things I'm going to compare it to in your makeup, it might help you decide. And also, since the Pillow Talk palette came out, I have gone back and forth and back and forth and back and forth about whether to buy it or not, because people rave about it. People have it in their top drawer, they use it all the time, that stuff. For me, I've always been concerned that the shades just look like they're not going to show up that much on me. So they did, for holiday this year, my Sephora, which doesn't carry a lot of the brands, actually had the Pillow Talk palette in the store. So it's the first time I've ever been able to swatch it for real. I still thought it was too light. I still thought these are not going to show up on me, so I did not buy it. When I was going to do this video with Charlotte Darling, I decided to go and get it so that I could do a comparison of swatches between Charlotte Darling and Pillow Talk, because I know that a lot of people who like Charlotte Tilbury have the Pillow Talk palette. So I bought this for you. Not really. I mean, I did, really. I bought it for the review, which normally I wouldn't be quite that spendy just for the purpose of a review, but I really felt like this might be worthy of it. And I wanted to finally give this thing a go and see, okay, am I correct? Am I incorrect? Does this show up on me? Does it not? So this is Charlotte Darling. We've already talked about that. And this is Pillow Talk. So you can see the comparison in the shades and in the depth of tone and in the warm or cool leaningness, if you want to call it that. This is the pop shade. Those are almost they're not glitter, but they're close. They're usually pretty sheer with just some sparkle. So Charlotte Darling is here and ends here. Pillow Talk is these 4 shades for that comparison. And then I also, during the VIB sale, I got this year's holiday palette, Starry Eyes to Hypnotize. I haven't even talked about this at all. I have not used this. I haven't had an opportunity. I'm just going to show this quickly. I love the packaging. I think everything Charlotte Tilbury did for holiday this year, her packaging is absolutely beautiful. Just beautiful. Anyway, this is the palette, and what I wanted to do is compare Charlotte Darling to these 3. They're called Love Glow. These 3 shades. So we're also going to swatch those. I haven't touched this palette, so these are brand new. I don't even know what they look like compared. So we've got Charlotte Darling and Pillow Talk. Oh, where's that pop shade? See, it's so light, I don't even see it. And here is Love Glow from the Starry Eyes to Hypnotize, which is the Holiday 2019 palette. So I'm just going to show you that for a second. And I know that it's difficult to tell for sure, but you can certainly see that this is cooler toned than anything in the Charlotte Darling palette. This shade and that shade are similar. This one has a bit finer shimmer to it, I think. And then this shade really does not match anything in the Charlotte Darling, or Pillow Talk for that matter. So if you're thinking you have Starry Eyes to Hypnotize, would Charlotte Darling just be a repeat? There is some similarity, I won't deny that, but they are not identical shades. So that, I hope, was helpful, because I know I had those questions in my own mind when I saw it online, and I thought, well, maybe you did too. So we've done swatches. As I said, not a first impression. I've worn this several times. I don't have like a specific way that I wear it each time. I think I've worn it differently actually each time I've worn it. But I thought we would just do, it's called an Easy Eye palette, let's do an easy look. Because sometimes that is what you need to get out the door. At least I do. I think I'm going to use these 3 shades, but I'm not going to use them necessarily the way she says to. So she says prime, enhance, and smoke, and generally prime would mean all over the eye, and then this kind of in the middle, I think, and then this, you know, to smoke it out. That's fine. For me, I'm going to use this. Put it in the crease. I am going to use this mirror. Did I tell you there was a mirror? There's a mirror. I meant to say that. Really nicely pigmented. I did hardly anything. I put my brush in there. I put it on my eye. Boom. Which, I mean, it really saves me a lot of time. I've been trying to put less pressure on my brush when I'm using it. I'm kind of a go in, get things done person. I have to remember to not go easier when I'm using eyeshadow, just for the skin on my eyes, just for my eyelids to be nicer to them. I just popped that in the crease. That is all I did. And I think I will take that just a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit more of that, and all I'm going to do is kind of draw it like that. Bring it onto the outer part of the lid a little. None of this is highly detailed. None of this is advanced level stuff. This is really pretty easy, depending on your level, right? Because some people don't wear makeup at all, and wearing more than one color is not what they're used to, and I try to keep that in mind when I'm showing you how the products work or a look or whatever. So one brush, boom, crease, kind of on the outer corner, and that's that. Then I'm going to use, as I said, I'm using these 3 shades, so I'm going to use the center shade and put that all over my lid, and I use my ring finger typically. Actually, I was swatching with that. I'm going to clean that off a little bit. I'm going to go into this just with my finger and just pop it right on the lid. Oh, that's right. I thought I grabbed the wrong one, but I did not. So And this is in real time. I'm not speeding any of this up. I'm not editing any of this out. Just so you can see how long does it really take to do a look with this quote-unquote easy eye palette. And I'm just going back in with a little more. So there's that. I would be totally happy with that eye. I'm pretty sure I've worn this eye with this palette because I feel like it looks finished. It looks like it's got some dimension with the shimmer and that kind of medium depth in the crease. Perfectly, I'm fine with that. I'm done. I'm out the door. Just for this, let's just try the Bella Sophia shade. Sorry, it's not really Bella Sophia. I guess it's in this palette, but I'm still calling it the Bella Sophia. She calls it the prime shade in this particular palette. So I just went into that a couple times here. Now let's just compare. Do you see a big difference? So this has the lightest shade, this does not. I don't know that it's a significant difference. I mean, it gives you a little something, and it's pretty. I'm just saying, you know, if you want to go a little more shimmery, great. If you were happy the way it was, great. Do whatever you like. Makeup rules are an illusion. I say it, I'm going to continue to say it. So, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to put mascara on. I specifically kept the rest of my face really neutral so that it wasn't drawing attention away from the eyeshadow, because that's what this particular video is all about. Is I wanted to do swatches, I wanted to do comparisons, I wanted to show you, okay, they call it an easy eye palette. Is it in fact easy? So conclusion time for me. I am very happy with this palette. And I was nervous when I ordered it. $57 is a lot. Each pan is 0.9 grams, so it's just slightly under 1 gram each, and you get 6 pans. I did mean to mention that because I like to let you know how much you're getting for your money. And I'm going to say something that could, you know, get me barred from beauty YouTube forever, but I don't love the Pillow Talk palette. I want to. I understand that a lot of people like it, but for me, Pillow Talk just, I don't know. There is no there for me. I don't hate it. I will use it. But if I was choosing between Charlotte Darling and Pillow Talk, there's no question. There's no question. I would absolutely get Charlotte Darling. I think you have more colors. I think they're deeper tones, and I have light skin. I mean, you know, I can wear pretty light colors. I don't hate Pillow Talk. I think it's fine. It doesn't do a lot for me. Charlotte Darling, on the other hand, I think I'm going to wear this a lot. In fact, I have already, and I've only had it for a week and a half, and I've worn it several times, and that's even including the fact that I've been trying out other makeup. I keep going to this and keep going to this. So, big win for me with the Charlotte Darling palette from Charlotte Tilbury. And as I said, I really like to do reviews of things that are only online that you're guessing about. So I hope that was helpful. That is my only purpose here. And I do thank you for spending time with me and just hanging out, talking makeup. I love to do this, and I really do hope I am helping you decide whether you will or will not spend your money, or maybe you just want to watch and see somebody else and see what they like. That's cool. Anyway, I will talk to you soon.